Today on Susan's Little Cup of Magic, we're going to talk about transitions and messy middles and chaos, all of the things. Join me. Sounds fun, right? Okay. Welcome back to my channel. I have been thinking a lot lately about failed attempts, experiments, the path I've been on, and what I am actually doing. Does any of us know what we're actually doing? Probably not. Anyway, I also want to come back to the space with a renewed sense of self. That sounds so juicy. I don't know if I'm really a renewed sense of self, but I do want to talk about a few things. I recently had this great week to myself, which I decided to call it a solo writer's retreat. A lot of creativity was sparked in that week. But more importantly, a lot of insights and reflection of actually some shit I've been going through for 2 solid years. And if I'm honest, maybe even more. And I always find this question confounding about anything I do in my business, like what is your brand and what's your message? And I always am like, oh, I don't know. I do know it's not that. It's content, and running things in a structure has always been a struggle because late diagnosed ADHD here. And as much as I giggle and laugh about that, it's really been a lot. And that's kind of what started off a lot of things for me 2 years ago. Also, perimenopause. I feel like so much has changed in my body and in my mind that it's hard to really know how to navigate certain things because I've changed so much. So I want to talk about those things because it definitely is going to come up in my next episode of Between Sips. But I want to be real and I want to be honest. The last 2 years, I haven't really known myself because I just found out something huge about myself. And just at the time I find out, yes, you have ADHD. My father was really ill and everything just, it felt like, the house of cards, just like that was the last piece and then everything fell. I had already been working through hormonal therapy. It seemed to be working, but not much. And then now I'm adding more drugs. And I was the girl who didn't even like to take a pill for a headache. And now I'm like, what? I can't live without some of these medical interventions, which is a journey I've been on for a while before perimenopause. But all of those things kind of create a shift of sorts in how you see the world and how to be in it. I have no foggy clue who I am anymore. And I'm just being honest. I used to be able to, I don't know, I was telling this to my physical therapist. I used to be able to pray my hands behind my back. And I used to be able to do downward facing dog and the warrior pose. And my mobility has changed so much over the last 4 years. That's just one aspect of everything. But the late diagnosis is it's a hard turn. It's relieving in some ways. It's, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then there's a lot of other things that I feel I've been reviewing specifically in the last year. The ways I was talked to and how I was made to fit into a box, I don't know what this is, guys, but like square pegs, if anybody remembers that 80s reference. I felt like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole all my life. And that's makes sense because there was this invisible thing going on. But I don't think in 2 years you can actually fully deal with that when you have 5 decades of that stuff, right? So that's what I'm talking about. There's been this I don't know why I'm making this move, but we're gonna go with it because I really want to be more authentically myself. And that's also what I want to say. It's really a weird space to find yourself in and then try to show up in a particular way for a business. So what I'm here to say is I'm breaking up with a lot of stuff, and I want to share more of myself as I am in this messy middle, in this uncomfortable outside of the box, or the square peg I am. Let's go with one metaphor. I love to mix metaphor. There are things that have guided me through my whole life that I've used, like, for instance, the oracle cards. You might see this other book here, The Artist's Way, Being Creative. And at the top is a book I wrote, and 2 of them, my diary and a book. Creativity and intuition and energy. And then there's another book off to the side there. I like how I'm trying to point. This takes a lot of coordination, guys. See that book? That's my Holy Fire Reiki Master Healing book. These are things that have helped me throughout my life. And well, Reiki came a little later, but anything that can be accessed in the moment. And that's really who I am. I get inspired. I want to create. I want to put it out there into the world. Yay. And having to fit things in boxes and try to hit the right hashtag, it's not my jam. So I think everything blew up for a reason for me to see that. But how do you see it as my viewer? I don't know. I feel like telling story helps, but I want to tell a specific story. The story of how we get through hard times and transitions, and how through that we find ourselves. You happen to be finding me in the middle of a very major one, actually 2. I could add 3 and 4 because I was burned out last year and I lost my dad. So there's grief, burnout. I mean, let's get a 5th one in there, chronic illness. These are a lot of things to juggle. Perimenopause, ADHD, burnout, grief, illness. And, I feel like we have a lot of people telling us, this is how you do it, and then you'll be successful. I am not that person because I'm in the middle of it. And I think there's many more of us, whether you are a 50-year-old going through all the things I just mentioned, or you're, starting a business, or you're moving to a foreign country, or you're having your first baby. These are all transitions, and they all invite us to be more resilient, be ourselves, be courageous, make bold moves. And we're doing that in our lives all the time. I'm getting to a place of understanding who I really am by getting rid of a lot of things that served other purposes. I'm not going to say they were good or bad, but it's a hard breakup period I'm going through. I'm mourning the loss of this Susan I thought I knew really well, and reclaiming the Susan who always was in the background. Are you going through that too? I think a lot of us are. And I think the time is now for us to understand, no matter how old you are, it's really time to get to know who you really are and break free from that conformity box they all put us in. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but that's not what I'm claiming with these videos. I'm here to show a little bit of myself, my character, what is inspiring, what I'm working through right now. And I felt like that's what this video is about, to give a little rise to that, to give more clarity. My Between Sips new podcast is also an extension of that, it's conversations with friends who are also going through certain times, or they're sharing a story of immense transition, and they can share what they're learning, whether they're going through it or it's already happened, right? So to me, it's all about transitions. The next episode coming up is all about hair and how we feel about our bodies in this wonderful time. And I'm talking to a great friend. I also want to bring back a little more of my comedy, and I haven't really found a way, but hopefully in this video, you're feeling it. Recently, I was so grateful to be able to go and see Conan O'Brien live in Amsterdam. He happened to be in town, and this was not a planned event. I mean, they planned it a couple hours before it actually happened. And I saw him. And what I love about comedy, and specifically improv, and this is what I learned the most there, is you have nothing but this moment now. And that's what it's all about for me, is this moment. Our creativity, our intuition, our energy is all this moment now. And while you might see this 3 years from when I made it, if anything, I want you to be inspired by that. What's going on right now? That's what I'm interested in talking about. This is not a comfortable time in my life. And I've looked at my content and I'm like, oh, I was really trying to make this work. But I'd rather not try to make it work, just show you what's going on. To have those raw, honest conversations like this upcoming episode will be like, share my creativity, whether it's writing a book or, I don't know, singing a song or dance. But back to that Conan O'Brien moment. That was a spontaneous event that I was so happy I jumped on. So I want to be more spontaneous, because I also feel like that's needed here. I am not a planner. I'm more of the moment. And what I think is the overlying theme here is transitions. How are we with them? Tell me in the comments below, what are you transitioning through? Are you also having an identity crisis like me? Is your hair turning gray the way mine is? That's coming up in the next episode. Are you also late ADHDer? Neurodivergent, highly sensitive? Do you feel like a square peg trying to fit in a round hole? If you want to connect more, besides subscribing, liking, and following me here, please join me over at Substack, where twice a week we have little chats to connect. We get to know each other there. It's substack.com/at Susan's little cup of magic. It will be in the comments below. Thank you so much for being a part of my audience, and please subscribe. And I am going to be bringing you more fun and funny to this space. All about being in this messy, weird, uncomfortable place. Until next time, from my cup to yours. See ya.